Avengers Age of Ultron, not my favorite Avengers movie, it's probably my least favorite Avengers movie. Kind of like with Iron Man 2, this kind of feels like the movie that kind of shoehorns in a lot of kind of overall MCU stuff. Like rewatching it kind of flows a little bit better with the overall MCU, but I remember when I first saw it, it was just like, oh my gosh, like why is there so much going on? And it's just like, why can't it just be the Avengers versus Ultron? Why are there all these different storylines and characters and stuff that doesn't really go anywhere? But yeah, it does establish a lot of important locations, like especially the nation of Sokovia, which will get important later on within the MCU. The whole opening action scene of the Avengers infiltrating the Hydra base in order to retrieve the scepter, but before they can defeat Strucker and all of his men, they get affected by the twins, Pietro and Wanda, who were in the post-credits scene of Winter Soldier. It kind of, keeps them on their toes. They're able to retrieve the scepter, but then Wanda puts that whole spell on Tony Stark to make him see visions of the Battle of New York, bring back his PTSD from Iron Man 3, probably the only essential things from Iron Man 3. So then it kind of motivates him to recruit Bruce Banner in order to restart the old Ultron program to create a suit of armor around the world to protect themselves from cosmic threats, so that if Thanos invades again, they'll be able to protect themselves. But obviously things go wrong and Ultron gains sentience, kills Jarvis, and puts his consciousness into damaged Iron Man drones, and kind of escapes into the internet after he attacks the Avengers. This is like the new threat they have to face. In the comic books is actually Hank Pym, who develops Ultron, and he'll be introduced in Ant-Man, the next movie. But Joss Whedon really wanted to have Tony Stark, who's responsible for Ultron, which I think was a good choice. And obviously there'll be repercussions as the movies goes on, because I remember watching this movie, I'm just like, okay, it was like, really, like the heroes are the ones who create the main villain, like, or how are they gonna deal with the repercussions? But obviously we get more of that in Captain America Civil War. We kind of got the cool midpoint scene after the Avengers fight off Ulysses Claw, another character who gets established in this movie, who becomes important later on in Black Panther. And then we also get a mention of Wakanda in this movie, which becomes important later. After they defeat him, they get infected by Wanda's like mind control and everything. They travel to Clint Barton's farmhouse and establish his family life, which is really cool, which obviously becomes his kind of motivation to kind of humanize the Avengers and kind of be more of like that human perspective. And then we have another storyline of Ultron wanting to evolve, and in order to do that, he has to create kind of like this synthetic body, and that that ends up being Vision. He's powered by the Mind Stone. Ultron takes it from Loki's scepter, puts it in Vision's forehead, and obviously it's going to be a very important thing later on for Infinity War. Obviously Thanos is trying to collect all the Infinity Stones in order to wipe out all the universe, and in order to do that, they're going to have to remove it from Vision somehow. So it's going to be some tension kind of moving forward, but it's kind of cool seeing, instead of having Ultron's AI power Vision, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner put Jarvis, who apparently survived, put that into Jarvis's body so that he'd be sentient. And it's kind of cool seeing Paul Bettany. At first he was just a voiceover throughout the MCU, and I never thought that he'd be a big part in it, but then he finally becomes part of the MCU as an actual character, so that was really cool. And then cut to the end battle, where Ultron's ultimate plan is to wipe out all humanity. So then he puts all these different rockets around the country of Sokovia, and then kind of lifts it up from the rest of the land, and then wants it to smash it onto the ground to wipe out everything. And then we obviously have Wanda and Pietro turning against Ultron and join the Avengers. So we get to the end battle, and obviously they defeat Ultron, they defeat all the drones, they stop the meteor from happening. But then we kind of get all the fallout from that. We have character storylines. We have Tony Stark wanting to be more of an administrator of the Avengers instead of fighting on the team, just because we see how helpful he is to the team. We have Captain America and Black Widow, becoming like the new leaders of the new Avengers. We have, Sam Wilson, Vision, Wanda, War Machine. We have Clint, who retires, and then we have Thor. This whole kind of side quest of Hot Tub Thor Machine, as people call it, of him going to like the little hot tub and then seeing visions of Ragnarok and visions of the Infinity Stones, and potentially Thanos taking over the world. So then he decides to leave the Avengers and kind of go off on his own journey to find out more about the stones. And then obviously we have Hulk, who just wants to live a normal life, and obviously he can't get that because when does he ever get what he wants? So he decides to just kind of like fly off in the Quinjet, and then he gets reintroduced in Thor Ragnarok, which is really cool seeing where he ends up. But so all the Avengers kind of go their separate ways, whether voluntarily or not. And it definitely kind of leaves the MCU and like, what are we gonna do now? It's definitely a new chapter in the MCU for sure. And then obviously the mid-credit scene of Thanos going into his vault, putting on the Infinity Gauntlet and saying, fine, I'll do it myself. So it's like, oh shoot, what's he gonna do? He's finally getting out of his chair and doing something. So yeah, overall, I know there's like a lot of things when you watch this movie in isolation, it's like, oh my gosh, there's like too much going on, like what's happening. But then when you kind of watch it as a piece of the overall Infinity Saga, you say, okay, yeah, there's a lot of essential elements in this movie and it's not that bad. It's a little convoluted, but it's very essential. So yeah, I definitely give it a pass for that.